Now, there are a ton of state management packages out there, but which one is the best one? Honestly, this is a bit of a heated topic in the Flutter community, and the word best is definitely subjective. There's no such thing as best one because everybody has their own opinion and their own things they value and their own definition of best. But there is a best one for you, and I'm going to give you at least my opinion for which one's the best one for me and why I believe that, and then you can make your own decision after that. Now, here's a list of the top 30 Flutter state management packages. And like I said, there is a ton of them. And I'm not showing you this chart that you need to go and look through every single one. I'm just showing you to tell you how many there are. There's so many of them. And I haven't been able to look at all of them, but I have been able to look at some of the biggest ones. So I'm going to cover those biggest ones and my opinions about them. So Flutter Block is a very popular state management package in Flutter. It is a Flutter favorite package and it is used by a lot of the people in the community. In my personal opinion, it is a little bit verbose. There's a lot of boilerplate, and maybe it's just because I'm not comfortable with it. I haven't used it that much, but I don't really choose it. There's just a lot there is to know. But it is a Flutter favorite. It's very popular, and there's a lot of community support about it. And the last thing is they do have a very nice documentation at blocklibrary.dev. They can go into, get started, and learn all about it. So it's a great package, but just not my first choice. Now, onto this one, which is the most popular package on the whole Flutter pub.dev. But just because it's the most liked one doesn't necessarily mean it's good. It just means most people liked it. And I actually wouldn't really recommend this package that much. Even though it's the most liked, it abstracts a lot of the Flutter concepts. For example, it doesn't use build context, which we learned about, which is kind of steering away from what Flutter actually is. Second biggest thing is it definitely lacks documentation. So sometimes it's hard to figure out what things are doing what. But the worst part about it is it hasn't been updated in 8 months now. And the pre-release hasn't been updated in 5 months. Now for a Flutter package of this size, and if you go to the repository, it has 700 issues, 70 pull requests that all haven't been worked on. So I feel like at this point, definitely be a little wary if you choose to go with this. Now, next one I want to cover is Provider. This is one of the earliest state management packages out there. And see, it definitely has a lot of likes. It's also a Flutter favorite. And it's just a good package overall. It's actually probably the most used Flutter state management solution out there. That's because it's been around for so long. So it's proven and it's robust and it's very popular. The only problem with it is it's not a full state management solution. It's made to give you the providers. So it allows you to, within your application, reach out to these providers and get the data from them. But like I said, state management solutions have two parts that they need to fill. They first need to provide the data and then have a way to show and consume that data. So the developer that made Provider made a second iteration that used what he learned from Provider and made it even better with Flutter Riverpod. Now, Flutter Riverpod is what we use in this course. And you'll notice it uses the same providers that are used within Provider. But the other thing it does is it has consumer widgets, so you're able to use those providers really easily within your app. It also has great documentation about almost everything you need to use within Riverpod, so it's a great tool. So now what does Flutter recommend? Like I said, Provider has been the one that's been around for the longest, so it is the recommended approach by Flutter themselves. But this text right here has been around for, I think, like 3, maybe even 4 years. So maybe they just haven't looked through all the options and updated yet. But they did update this part recently. They added Riverpod. And you notice it says Riverpod. Another good choice. It's similar to Provider and it's compile safe and testable. So this is why I usually choose Riverpod for all my packages. It's built by the same person who has the package that's recommended, but he thinks this one is better and actually executes state management better than Provider did. And fun fact, if you see the letters in Provider, if you reorganize, it'll give you Riverpod. So those are the state management packages. But there's one more that shouldn't be forgotten, and that's just set state. You don't have to go into every project thinking that you need some sort of package to do your state management for you. If your app is simple enough, you can just use set state. Now the benefits of using set state is it's simple. It's built into Flutter, so you don't need any dependencies. You just use what is given within Flutter. And it is really a good solution for small apps or maybe apps that are bigger but don't necessarily have that much data to manage. I think set state should be the default you go with, and then think about how big your application is going to be. And if it is going to be big and you need something else, I personally recommend Riverpod, but there are other good solutions out there.